Hey guys, how are y'all doing today?
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here today. I mean, here we are at our podcast and excited to talk about the culture, right? I think that's a important topic that's on the top of everybody's list right now.
Yes.
Do y'all agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm pumped up, ready to go.
I mean, we see this all the time. We talk about it in the office all the time. It's on the forefront of our mind, and we're always kind of looking at it and challenging ourselves on this. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, young business owners, even guys that own businesses like we did for a long time and missed a lot of opportunity on this, they didn't put this in the forefront of their mind.
Right.
And I feel like this is an important topic for a lot of people.
This was even before I started. Why did you guys start thinking about culture and going from small Buffalo Wild Wings or Quiznos to starting this company and creating this culture that we're living in today?
Well, it's funny that you say that, and when you think about starting this, it's like in the past, people used to question me like, "Hey, you're an entrepreneur?" I'm like, "No, I'm not an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are people that go out and start their own brands, their own thing, and their own dream." And I said, "I'm just a franchisee."
Yeah.
And when I first started in company, when we first started in business, we bought our first Quiznos.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that. It's like when we bought our first Quiznos, the first thing to do, bank wants your company name, the IRS wants your company name, everybody wants your company name. And me and Kim kind of like, and we're not used to that. I mean, I ran a furniture store and she was a nurse, so we had no clue, and we didn't have knew anything about culture or anything. So I think we started our name, and it was an abbreviation of our name, CK Classics.
Yeah.
And that's what we put on our name, and then it started evolving that way. And then as we sold that company, there was no with that name, there was no culture behind it.
No vision, no meaning.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a legal entity.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up to my Quiznos, made sandwiches, and thanked the guest and cleaned the store and walked out. And same thing at your store.
Yeah.
And we didn't put any much time and effort. Then we sold those and we went into, bought our first Buffaloes. And the same thing, we had different entities as we bought more, and they all were just abbreviation of our names.
Yeah, we were just running businesses. We were small business owners running business.
Yeah, and then we saw a shift, right? I started thinking, well, we want to be, our own brand. We want to be a culture, build our own culture. We want to change things. And I think that's where we came into the part of like, we were sitting in a meeting one day and it's like, I think we should change our names. First, I hated our name before because that's the name that's on our paychecks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's where the employees see every paycheck. They look at who they work for. Whatever brand they work for, Buffaloes, it wouldn't say Buffaloes, say our company name.
Yeah, it was not identifiable. It was not relatable. And so you and I kind of come together and we thought we needed something more. And so culture came to mind.
Yeah.
And then we just started building off of that word itself. And you came up with aspire. And then you and I both were like, yeah, that makes a connection. And so connection.
But you know why it made a connection to us? Because we both always aspired.
Yes.
We always wanted to be better.
Right.
We always wanted to grow. And that's where that name came from.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So we identified the importance of we don't really have a identifiable culture within our business. Yeah. So it kind of just took off from there.
It did. And I think that's the part too. It's like, okay, so how do we add on to this? Aspire. And then, I want to, me and Kim have always aspired to be more. Mm-hmm. Always. Every day we got up and wanted to be better today, or it just grow who we were. And that could be spiritually, financially, husband, wife, father, mother, anything we could do in life, just a better figure in life. So I think that's where the name comes. Aspire to, me and you, be, and the letter B and more. And I think that's where we all started at. That was the purpose of doing that. And then that's what kind of set our foundation of starting the culture. The name says it all. Aspire to be more when we put that on there. And I think that's where we started like, wow, this is something, this is our culture, this is who we want to be, and this is how we want to push out this in our employees, Yeah. And I think when we decide to grow, right, and be an entrepreneur, it's like now we realized, wait a minute, this is our own brand, this is our culture, so now we want to grow that. You know, and I think that's what's important to a lot of people. They throw the word culture out there, but you got to attach the culture to who you are, your identity of your leaders, owners, whoever's out there that your people that work for you see every day. So now you got to go out and live it and teach what that culture is. And I think that's where we come from, right?
Yeah. And you became a visionary of our company. And so you had this vision of where you wanted to take our cultivation of our culture and our people. And you kind of built that into, okay, so now we identified why we need this. And then you went into how we built a culture as our company.
Yeah.
And started thumbs up,
Yeah.
branding us. A to B, started getting, you even reached out to a company to identify us as our logo.
Yeah. And what that meant and how important that it meant. And I think it goes back to like the thumb thing, right? You got to be able to pivot and switch and look at things like, you know, I used to always put my thumb up and just, it was a habit. And it, you know, and it wasn't meant to be. It just was like, because I'm always having an awesome day. You know, I've always feel like good, you know, just wow. And every time I take a picture of even an Easter picture, Kim said, "Why do you put your thumb up?" I'm like, I don't know. I want to put it down. But then we noticed that everybody was kind of catching on to it, right?
Yeah.
And they were kind of seeing that I did it. You started doing it. You know, then other people started doing it in pictures, and it was kind of cool because it was taking a culture. And then, you know, Justin comes in the company, and we're growing. We want to be entrepreneurs. We're going to grow this brand and grow this. And you know, we reach out to Justin. And when you became part of the company, what did it mean to you?
I mean, Aspire to Be for me was just a. It aligned with all of the values that I've ever wanted to that meant the most to me. So whether that's family, friends, work, all of it, I want to aspire to be better today than I was yesterday. I think the fact that you guys wear your hearts on your sleeves in business, as family, with kids, as coaches, was something that's infectious, and I felt as though I could be a part of it and I could coach and teach that as well. So it was just it was a mindset and a mentality, and that whole idea of being a visionary and the why made a lot of sense to me. So I mean, for any business owner that's considering creating a name or coming up with the culture, I think you just have to take a good hard look at what you're naming your company and getting an alignment right from the start. And I came in right as you guys were kind of forming this company and saw some of the vision, and I got to be a part of a lot of the how over the past couple of years, and that's been an awesome ride.
Yeah. And I think it goes to when you talk about how you do it and why you do it, and then you go, you better believe in it and you better live it, right? Because I think that's some of the things you put out there, you know, as an owner and an entrepreneur, and you have this name and you have this culture that you want to put out there. Now you better live it. You know, and you better show it every day in your own social post or the way you know, when you go into the stores. And I love how we do that. You know, we go in the store, it's like, I want to take the picture with the staff. You know, hey, y'all done a great job. Y'all killed it last night, man. Sales were up, busy, great comments on social. And I like, hey, I want to take a picture. And it's funny, I take a picture with them, a selfie, because I get picked on this, taking selfies all the time. But I take a picture and I go to post it later in all the kitchen behind. Well, then most of them have their thumbs up.
Yeah.
That's when it kicks in, like, oh, well, it's working.
Yeah.
It's cultivating. And you don't think as an owner or a leader that it's working until you get out with your people and spend time with them and show them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you're making that human connection through your culture. You're making a human connection. And I don't know if you remember this, Chris, but you know, when we first started out with our culture and our branding, we had a logo that actually didn't have the thumbs up in it.
Yeah.
Remember it?
Yeah.
It had the knife and the
Has
fork
a knife,
and the
fork.
spoon,
Yeah.
something like that, because that was focused in on hospitality. So we didn't hit it right out of the gate either. As business owners, we evolved into the thumbs up in the A.
Yeah.
You know,
It's right there, right
yeah.
there. See it? Yeah.
We evolved into that. So we identified how important the culture was, but then through branding, we had to cultivate that brand to the the culture as well.
Yeah, I think that was the pivot moment too. It's like,
Yeah,
wow,
right.
we saw the thumbs up, and Aspire to Be was an awesome logo. It had the culture, but then I don't know, a year later, that's when we saw the A to B, because the thumb was just going crazy with it. Everybody was loving it, and that was the not screaming out Aspire to Be on the social post. That was Aspire to Be.
Yes.
And that's what, I think as owners and when you're building your company out, you got to pick up on little things like that. What's your staff liking? What are they following? What are they paying attention to? And what are they catching on to? What's the teasers? And I think that's important,
The how was all across the board. I mean, it was on social, #Aspire to Be.
Yeah.
We could follow on every platform what people were doing that. Even further than that, through technology, we put big TVs in the back of house of every store. So now you can connect to what's going on at your store, but you can also connect to what's going on at the support office, because they love following us wherever we're at. Thumbs up, the whole nine. And then there was just this crazy, effort towards awesome swag. And then just this realization of everybody wants to wear proudly and puff their chest out and, put Aspire to Be stuff on. And whether that was a cup, a backpack, a cooler, I mean, you absolutely killed that vision of the how. How are we going to do this?
Yeah.
People have to want to wear our stuff. And I mean, we can't keep enough stock.
Yeah, it is neat because when we go out places and we change the culture too of our office. That when you talk about the swag and the T-shirts, I've always said this to all owners. People are like, man, I bet you love owning your own business, and sometimes the stress is crazy. And some of the best benefits of owning your own business, you can wear what you want to work.
Yeah.
And nobody can say, hey, you're supposed to wear that tie.
I didn't learn that for like 6 months to a year.
I know you picked up on it. It's like you always wear.
Can I wear tennis shoes?
Yeah, you always wear white titty shoes and blue jeans and T-shirts. And we changed the mentality at the office. You were like, hey, can I change at the office? Because we had like Friday was like pants day.
Yeah.
And then you took that because you saw the how and the why and how it was working in the stores, and it was just starting to take off. And you got to have your watch what's happening. Because right now, you got to have your hand on the pulse, right, to see what's happening. The employees seem like they really took off. And it was one of the other moments of we knew it was really working, and we just kept trying to change more and add more. Is like when employees or a leadership would post something about an employee, right, something good that's celebratory. And then we would get on there and post, hey, congrats, high fives, or a green card. Somebody got a green card. Thank you for keeping our staff or our customers safe. But then, our people would take a screenshot because that employee would see one of us comment on their page like, OMG, the CEO founder just commented on my page. And it's like, I look at that like, really? And they're like, hey, we love when you do that. And that's the culture that you're building. We could sit here all day and say, I'm going to build a culture, and it's going to be called Into the Storm. But then if you're not living it and you're just faking it, it's never going to take off.
Yeah. And not only did we say Into the Storm, but we created shirts that say Into the Storm. When our people are struggling in the field, we rally around them and we say Into the Storm. So we're constantly reiterating our culture, our vision, and through that we are getting great feedback, great buy-in. It's just catapulting our company to the next level.
It's funny because when you talk about Into the Storm, right, and it all ties together.
Yeah.
Because our herd mentality, right, and the buffalo goes into the storm, and we herd together, and then it ties into the fact that we've had this conversation with some great leaders in our company, our field leaders, that the young managers that work for us or a new person that just came aboard and they're struggling a little bit and they're struggling. What do I do? Well, put them in the middle of the herd. And it's like when you say that to them, now they're like, what do you mean put them in the herd? I said, well, because the strong buffaloes, the big buffaloes, the experienced buffaloes stay on the outside because the weather hits them harder and they can lead. Put the weak, the young, the sick in the middle until they're well or grown up. They can go outside. Now they can lead from the outside. And they catch on to that. It's like those little stories. So when you talk about Into the Storm, they all have meaning. You can sit here and throw names out all day or culture out all day, but it has no meaning. And the why is like they're not going to bite into it, right?
Yeah, and you've done a great job in our company because not only have you just said visions, but you're you're putting visions on the wall. In our conference room, you've got building machines highlighted in neon. You have Proverbs highlighted in neon. You have our code of, what is it called?
Conduct.
Code of conduct on the
We need to
back
talk
wall.
about that one day.
Yeah.
That's pretty
you
cool.
know, so not only do you have visions, but you cultivate those visions into items. You put those items plastered on our wall throughout our company so that we're constantly reminded. We give swag to our employees so we're constantly reminded of our culture and our vision. And it's just a great way to help us cultivate that great human connection. That's the most important part of a culture within a business, and that's the benefit. It's only benefiting us if we just keep it to ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Right. The benefit is in the result. So all this that we're doing, right? We're naming a company, how we're doing it. We've got all kinds of stories. I mean, this thing could last an hour of how we're doing it.
Yeah.
But the result of that is, are we creating an atmosphere that's a better place to work? And as a result of all of our people loving working for us and it being a better place to work, that's going to turn into our people driving our profits with their guests, and our guests are going to be happier, and we're going to improve our hospitality.
Yeah.
It's coming from a corporate world. Our best conversations are when we're casually traveling, sitting in the car. My best conversations are at the ball field with a leader and just pouring into them and picking their brain. If you can create an experience that every visit you make in a store, they feel comfortable, they know that you're still there to execute a job, that piece of our culture has been something that's very, very new to me. So I think everybody needs to pay close attention that it doesn't matter if you're in a suit or a tie.
Yeah.
It matters on how real you are, and are you making that human connection with someone, spending the time with them, and are you actually there, present, paying attention to their needs. And, we do ask a lot of our people.
Well, it's funny that, when you talk about the office and you talk about the culture that we're pushing out here in the conference room, I guess what I'm getting at is, one of the things that we changed is, we're building machines instead of grinding so much. And I think that was the thing with the conference room. We had this conference room, nice table, big TVs, cool little area where they get refreshments. But then I kind of think, well, here I am trying to, you're challenging them to make the best manager's office. Because you wanted that vision of that. And then the conference room came from me like, I want to build this with my own two hands. I want to get in there with, actually my daughter helped me do it, is hang all the wood on the wall, hang the brick on the wall, come up with the neons, come up with everything in that conference room has meaning. And it's around our name. Aspire to be more today than you were yesterday, in the herd mentality. And how we herd up a family and we protect one another. So I think that's important that you live by that. And, I want to, and then it also goes to my mindset that we've had this conversation because we have our leaders, right? That we talk about this. They come in our conference room, they look around like, wow, I love it. This inspires me to go out and just attack everything and go into the storm and lift up our people. And I said, God, that's what it's supposed to mean. But then we noticed, like, wait a minute. There's somebody out there that's not getting it. And you're going to have this in your company. You're going to have people that don't understand your name. And you could sit here and say, it's aspire to be more.
Yeah.
But, and maybe in their life set, I don't know, they just they don't connect to it yet. So, and I could use this too, Justin. I think we talked about this is when one day we were in the office and we said, imagine somebody pulling through the neighborhood saying, hey, I'm taking all the kids to the circus. And back in the old days, that happened.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm taking everybody to the circus. Everybody jumping in. Can't do that today. Yeah. But everybody jump in the van, and you get in the van, and the kids are bouncing in the back, happy, and I'm driving the van, and finally, somebody's not so happy, and I look in the mirror and say, hey, aren't you excited to go to the circus? Like, no, sir, I've never been to a circus. And in the van, you stop, all the kids stop and look around like, what? I said, no, sir, I've never been to a circus. You've never been to a circus? Well, how awesome is this going to be? So you're going to come sit right in the front row with me. And we're going to order the peanuts. We're going to have so much fun and watch this circus. Yeah. And I think that's important to people because a lot of time we can preach this and say it and probably goes to training, right? And you go to the training in the store and they don't really understand it as much. So when you introduce it to them by showing it to them, and then when you leave the circus, get in the car, you're driving back and you say, well, what'd you think about it? what was your most favorite part of it? And it could be the elephants, the lions, or whatever. What was your least favorite part? And then now you know that leader a little bit better. Because now they got to experience that with you. And that's why it's important us as leaders, and we try to do a great job of getting out in the field and trying to listen to them on their calls and things like that. So I think that's important to that, you know?
We've got to be in the show. We've got to, and that might start off of being the ringleader, and then you learn, you teach the person next to you and you level them up and you take a step back, and then that cascades down, and then you're behind the scenes running the show. But until they know what a ringleader is and what that circus looks like, you're coaching something that might not be there in their mind. And it's that's one of my favorite stories that you tell, because it really puts things in perspective of how to actually cascade something down.
Yeah.
They have to know what the circus is and what a ringleader does, and then they have to be able to level people up to take a step back.
Yeah.
My favorite thing in that story is that we've captured the person that doesn't know about the circus, and that's our opportunity as a company to pour into that person. So we're not having to, you like you say, you roll into the neighborhood and say, hey, everybody get into the bus.
Yeah.
And the great part about it is they got into the bus.
They got in the bus. Yeah.
And it's our part to cultivate them and to develop them and to get them to buy into our culture and our brand. And I think by doing that as a small business owner, by identifying our culture, getting our brand out there, we led a positive momentum for our employees and for our leaders of this company to just lead us in a great direction, and a direction that's can only benefit us as a company.
You're right, because I think it's, the biggest thing at this whole thing is a whole culture set is for them to be proud for where they work for.
Absolutely.
Making them comfortable with what they're uncomfortable in. We've got some incredible leaders that all have different strengths, and we're bringing them to the circus in their weakness column, and we're making them comfortable in things that they're not always comfortable in. And that's not always easy for folks to absorb. And when you have that herd mentality and you get all of us around them, they become very comfortable with it, and then they gain confidence. And there's just some incredible things that folks that are not comfortable speaking in public or even going to a circus or doing a podcast, that it's incredible what the result of that looks like.
I think it's a hot topic.
Yeah.
It's something that's brought up all the time that I read on our social pages on LinkedIn, and just where every company's out there trying to find a culture, and they might just use the word, or they might just try to find something they're attaching to, but I don't know if they truly believe in it in themselves. And I think that's one thing I'm proud of our leadership team. We believe in this, and we change, and right, we see the weaknesses, like you said. What's awesome is that person's never been to the circus, and we identify that, and let's go fix that. And I think at the end of the day, the vision of us wanting to start our name and build a culture, because I want to build a company, and I think every entrepreneur should have this in their forefront of their mind, is build a culture, because at the end of the day, when we all move on, we want to be missed, and we want to be liked, and we want somebody to be proud of us, and I think that's important in our life, because I always want my kids to think, man, my dad was awesome. He was the best dad. And I think at the day when you have a company and you put that in your forefront of your mind, you want the employees to work, and you want them to be profitable for you. You want them to create profits. For them to really, truly want to do that, is they want to be proud for who they work for. And I think that's, they want to be part of something bigger than just getting a paycheck.
That's right.
And the swag goes along with it. The
thumbs up,
the thumbs up, all that has meaning, because these kids these days, that's where they're attached to. They want to be identified on social medias. They want to be identified as and noticed. And it's funny, I always see these comments like, oh, people are posting, how many likes did you get today? Well, when you work for a company that gives you 1,000 likes a day, and just a pat on the back or high fives and appreciated by your leadership and your ownership, it means a lot. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs at the end of the day, if you put that in the forefront of your mind, put a lot of effort in your name, make it sure it's attached to you. Don't be a name that's not really you.
Yeah.
Come up with a name that's your identity, right?
That inspires you.
That inspires you.
Yeah.
And then you have 10 employees, 5 employees, 5,000 employees. Make sure it attaches to you, and then you live by it. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the results are just incredible.
Well,
They're going to drive your profits.
people
will
bring
come.
profits.
They do.
People
They do.
bring profits, you know.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you got to start small, right? I mean, we got swag and we get more and more, and we had to start small and see how it likes. But one of the coolest part too is it's to close this up is I get calls all the time and you're getting messages all the time. Where do I buy your swag?
Yeah.
Where do I buy it at? You know, in which, you know, I think I think we're at the part of setting up a page right now, a marketplace, right, to buy our swag. But, you know, even my son's friends, you know, hey, can I buy a shirt from your dad? I see him wear that Into the Storm shirt all the time. He said, just call my dad, he'll give it to you. You know,
Yeah.
Kim's like, no, we're going to sell them. You know, so that means it's catching on because not only the people that work inside your stores or your company, it's now spreading your culture to the outside.
And if you want to aspire to have a better culture today than yesterday, I mean, by all means, we've got a ton of ideas, content, and we're looking for other ideas too. So leave us a comment, and we'd be happy to interact with anybody and let you know what we're thinking, because there's a lot of nuggets here, and I'm so happy that you shared some of our nuggets. But this is something that we spend a lot of time talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, this could have been like a 2-hour episode. It could have been a whole odd episode because, you know, there's so much in our minds that go crazy about this. But, you know, I think it's great that we got to share this today, and just to hopefully this will put in the forefront of your mind that I wish, because we missed 10 years of our company not having the name and the culture.
Right.
But I don't look at it as missed. Our glass is always half full, and we're having fun with it now. So, yeah. But again, hey, go like the podcast, go subscribe to it, man. And like Justin said, make some comments to each of us. We have a lot to offer, and we're ready to share this with you. And I hope this inspires you to, when you start your name or build your culture, and know how important it is. So I appreciate you all. Thank you, guys. Thumbs up.